What's up, everybody? This right here is the brand spanking new Pixel 7 Pro. Shoot, wrong phone, my bad. This right here is the Pixel 7 Pro. This is Google's latest and greatest, and in today's video, we're gonna see exactly what it has to offer, how it's improved compared to its predecessor, and ultimately take it for a quick spin and give you guys an initial impression. So buckle up, let's get started. First things first, the Pixel 7 Pro comes in a cute little box. They've definitely taken some inspiration from the iPhone packaging. As you can see, it has similar dimensions with the box. You have an image of the actual phone itself in the corresponding color, and then the Pixel 7 Pro branding right there. On the back side, you'll find the technical specifications about the device itself. Again, similar to iPhone boxes, you have those paper pull tabs, although over here, they're on the sides as opposed to the top and the bottom, to show that it's a little different after all. Anyway, once you remove the content seals, the first thing you're greeted by is the Pixel 7 Pro in that gorgeous haze color. Of course, on the front side, you have that protective paperback. Peel it off, and here it is. But more on that in a quick minute. Past that, you have a USB-C to USB-C charging cable. You also have the inclusion of a USB-A to USB-C dongle or adapter. And finally, you have the instruction booklet, which, let's be honest, is just going to stay in that box. But it also does include the SIM ejection tray tool. Design-wise, not a whole lot has changed compared to the Pixel 6 Pro. So you still have that expansive 6.7-inch display. You have those rounded corners around the display for that elegant look. Although I did notice that the bezels continue to be uneven at the top and bottom. So the bottom bezel is thicker still. And I just really hoping that they would take care of that with this generation, but they haven't. It's worth noting, the rest of the phone looks very similar. You have a metallic sideband all around with those metallic buttons, and the backside remains very similar for the most part, so you still have that glass finish. That gorgeous new haze color is so nice to look at, but the real difference, and probably the most significant one, is the visor. Before, it was more of a glass surface finish. In fact, it was a glass surface finish. Now it's a metallic finish. It has more shine. As to which one looks more premium or nice in general, it's going to come down to personal preference, but I do like how the metal corners are now more flush with the rest of the design. Rather than sticking out and looking modular, the visor kind of just blends into the rest of the body. There's essentially two ways to get into your phone here. The first one being the fingerprint scanner, which is built into the display directly. It is slightly more responsive compared to the Pixel 6 Pro, so it recognizes your finger and kind of unlocks the screen faster in my opinion. Now, the second way is facial recognition, which happens through the selfie camera, though it's worth noting this is entirely at a software level. There's no built-in dot projector, there's no hardware validation here, so it's not as reliable as, let's say, the iPhone 14 Pro's Face ID system. So take that with a little bit of grain of salt if you are going to be using facial recognition. At the very heart of this phone, we have the Tensor G2 chip, and it's pretty darn powerful as it comes pretty close to rivaling the likes of Samsung's S22 Ultra phone in terms of benchmarks. Now, combine this with a generous 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5 memory, and day-to-day tasks like navigating through the operating system, or let's say scrolling through web pages or watching videos just feels so seamless and smooth, as it should of course. But even more intensive activities like gaming are much more improved. You have higher frame rates, more sustained experiences, and it just feels way more pleasant than it did with the predecessor, the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, the real improvement is in the machine learning functionality of this phone. For example, the simple act of recording my voice can now be transcribed in real time, and it's insane how accurate it is. And the more I use it, the better it gets. It's just crazy how well Google has implemented this functionality. And again, this shows the magic of having great hardware and software integration, which we see with this phone. Unfortunately, Google still hasn't mastered their craft when it comes to polished software just yet, as there are multiple reports now surfacing saying that many applications tend to become unresponsive or crash occasionally. Although the good news here is that with Google's guaranteed 3 years of software support, I have no doubt that most of these bugs will be entirely resolved in no time at all. But again, there's definitely some need for improvement there. The Pixel 7 Pro has made substantial upgrades to its camera setup, especially on the rear end, where you have three lenses, the first one being the 50 megapixel wide lens, the 48 megapixel telephoto lens, and finally 12 megapixel ultra wide lens. It's worth noting that the wide and telephoto lens have optical image stabilization. Now, both of these lenses are absolutely stunning. So with the primary wide lens, you have amazing color dynamics. It captures great shots in both daylight and low light settings as well. It's also worth noting it kind of crops into the megapixels, so the zoom always looks super crisp. Now you do have 5 times optical zoom with the telephoto lens, and it looks so much better in my opinion than what the iPhone, for example, can put up, and it comes pretty close to what the S22 Ultra can also put up, but not quite there. You do have a 30 times digital zoom, which again is pretty decent for what it is. Now the ultra wide lens is disappointing. It doesn't have optical image stabilization, and it does produce a fair bit of noise. I haven't done a detailed camera test in this video simply because I'm working on a video that focuses just on the Pixel 7 Pro's camera, well, functionality essentially, so stay tuned for that. Now the front camera is pretty decent, but not all that amazing. It's a 10.8 megapixel selfie camera, and like I said, it does decent in daylight settings. Low light, it's not bad, but again, it's not as competitive as some of the competition. It's also worth noting the Pixel 7 Pro has some really cool software level features, like its new unblur feature, which can take any photo that has a shaky effect, particularly with human effects, and it can do a pretty decent job at stabilizing it and turning it into an actual proper photo, though it's not as perfect as advertised, and it does a better job when you have just your face as opposed to having glasses on, for example. The Pixel 7 Pro has a great display. So you have a Quad HD Plus resolution. Additionally, it's worth noting you have a refresh rate of up to 120 Hz, though it can go down to 60 Hz depending on what you're doing, and for better battery life, of course. And finally, you have a maximum sustained brightness of 1000 nits and a peak brightness of up to 1500 nits, making this phone plenty bright. Overall, I think it's a stunning display with great color accuracy as well. Google was on some fine drugs when they said that this phone can support up to 24 hours of battery life. That's simply not true in a real world setting. In fact, we found we'll get about 9 to 10 hours on a single charge, which is still pretty decent, but it's not anywhere near what they claimed. And I just feel like they could have been a little bit more, well, truthful in that regards. I'm guessing these were entirely lab tested claims where practically you just never used your phone. Here's the fact, guys. Given that this video was made pretty close to the release date of the Pixel 7 Pro, me and pretty much any YouTuber out there doesn't quite yet have a long-term review for you because we haven't simply used the phone for a long enough period. But based on our initial impressions and based on my initial review at least, I can definitely tell you the Pixel 7 Pro priced at $900 starting for the 128GB is a fantastic value. Aside from the fact that it undercuts a lot of the competition, it has a lot to offer. A great body design, an amazing camera system, a high-end processing chip, combined with great software functionality makes this a value-oriented phone that's right there with the other flagships. Now, it's not perfect. There's still a number of software bugs, but the good news is that they can mostly be resolved at a software level, and this phone has a lot to offer. So if your intention is to get a flagship level phone that's not as expensive as other flagship level phones like, let's say, the iPhone 14 Pro or the S22 Ultra, this might be the perfect pure-blood Android experience you've been waiting for. So stay tuned. I will be releasing more videos as I learn more about this phone and understand it better. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed the content, consider liking this video and please consider subscribing to our channel. It genuinely means the world to me and really does help this channel grow more than you can ever imagine. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next one.